back on his own, he starts doing the same stuff. What do you do with him? Ladies and gentlemen, today, as Victoria Gowri took oath as an additional judge of the Madras High Court, a lobby was fuming. They were so angry, so agitated that they even moved the Supreme Court of India, only to be sent packing. Now their attempt to decide who makes up our judiciary has failed. Tonight, hashtag Judge Gowri wins. Take a look at the news report and then we debate.
I request Tirumati Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri to take oath of office.
Today, as Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri was being sworn in as an additional judge of the Madras High Court,
I, Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri, having been appointed as additional judge of the High Court of Madras,
a Supreme Court bench was hearing a petition on why she should not be elevated.
The Supreme Court today dismissed the writ petitions challenging Gowri's appointment, rejecting arguments that had been made before them. The Supreme Court today said the collegium has a robust scrutiny process to find the suitability of elective candidates for appointment as High Court judges. Gowri taking oath as an additional judge, and the collegium will examine her performance and then see whether she should be made a permanent judge. The lobby that was trying to create a chaos and trying to come to the court to protest against her appointment has failed once again when the court says it's the collegium process that will be seen to be standing up.
The lobby's attempt was clearly to target a now member of the judiciary and the judicial process.
जिस तरीके से कानून मंत्रालय कोर्ट को धमका रहा है और जिस तरीके से जुडिशरी में अभी प्रेशर बना करके आज मद्रास हाई कोर्ट में कोई शपथ हुई, अगर इस तरीके के जजेस का रिकमेंडेशन होगा, इस तरीके के जो हेट स्पीच करने वाले वो क्या न्याय देंगे?
Jurists are hitting out at the lobby.
Certainly it obvious. Now these type of writ petitions are rare. So where the lawyers or the lobby opposing Mrs. Victoria Gowri, they failed before the High Court Collegium, they failed before the government, they failed before the Supreme Court Collegium.
Retired justices are calling out the motivated plea.
Nowadays, we see lobbies are proactive in maligning anything that is going right in this country. So they are not prepared to digest that the government or the Supreme Court can appoint a judge who had earlier been government counsel.
Can the judiciary be allowed to become a target of the lobby? Let's debate.
Nilanjan Das, Abhishek Sudhir on one side, Madhuvanti on the other. I'm starting with Siddharth Luthra, senior advocate in the Supreme Court and former additional Solicitor General. Mr. Luthra, I'd just like by asking you, are judges with a past political affiliation not allowed? I mean, if you have had a past political affiliation, my research tells me that there are people of various political affiliations in the past who've been made High Court judges, who've been made Supreme Court judges. What is the position on it? What is the technical position on this, Mr. Luthra?
So I must tell you, there have been over the decades, and I will not say years but decades, you've had people with a political alignment, with a political background, with political views who have been appointed as judges. You know, a lot of the government councils were appointed in the state or center to have a political alignment, and perhaps that's why a lot of them get appointed, and then they are then again elevated to the bench. The question is not the political alignment a person has before being appointed to the bench, but how you conduct yourself after you're elevated, because each individual takes an oath to uphold the Constitution, to uphold the laws, and to treat everyone without fear or favor and equally. And the test is, will any individual elevated follow that principle? If they do, I think their past political views are not relevant. If they don't, there are processes, both in terms of the in-house inquiry procedure, as also at a very extreme case, impeachment, In any case, speaking for the individual concerned, we need to note she's been appointed as an additional judge. She has yet to be confirmed. She will be confirmed in a few years' time. That's the normal process depending on her performance. But there are instances where people have not got confirmed. So really the test is, how does the individual conduct themselves after elevation?
And there's a huge contradiction here also, Mr. Luthra, and I hope Abhishek and Nilanjan understand this. The lobby has always batted for a Supreme Court collegium, so why oppose the decision to make Victoria Gowri a high judge? What happened to all the people who were saying finally a collegium reads the law to the government? Why the change in stance in the case of Judge Gowri? And viewers, I think what's going on here, and Abhishek, is there's an attempt to make the judiciary move to the whims and fancies of the lobby. I'm so glad and relieved this case has been dismissed.
Right.
This cancel culture is deplorable, Abhishek, right? I'm so glad that this has been dismissed.
Right.
I hope the lobby never tries again.
Well, see, the Victoria Gowri affair actually raises several pertinent questions actually. I just want to name a few of those questions. The first question is, why did the Supreme Court admit this petition in the first place? When Justice Chandrachud, Chief Justice Chandrachud admitted this petition, he said certain quote-unquote new developments have taken place. What this indicates is that the collegium headed by Chief Justice Chandrachud was not aware of the allegedly incendiary speeches made by now additional Judge Gowri. Now, why was Justice Chandrachud not aware of those speeches? It is the job of the Intelligence Bureau to actually brief the collegium on the antecedents of the judge. Clearly, the Intelligence Bureau has not brought these speeches to the notice of the collegium. Please, Mr. Goswami, since Mr. Luthra is here, I would like to have
this is a level of conspiracy theory also is unacceptable out here. No? I just don't see this. You can write any Alice in Wonderland story out here on the IB keeping someone in the dark.
You can ask the other side to take on my points.
Well, I mean,
no, but why were these points not brought up before the collegium? The IB did not brief the Chief Justice and the collegium on these speeches.
How do you know that?
Absolutely, I agree with Mr.
How do you know that?
Every judge has
How do you know that?
views.
This is ridiculous. I think Siddharth Luthra wants to respond.
Because
Yes, Siddharth.
Chief Justice Chandrachud has said we were not aware of these speeches.
One minute.
So I will.
1 minute. May he please respond to you, Abhishek, please. He's a very senior advocate.
I will put it this way. I will put it this way. There are oral comments made by judges. The question is what really comes into the order, and all the Chief Justice was placed it before an appropriate bench. The bench then heard the arguments and has taken a decision on the judicial side. When the Chief Justice takes a decision to accept a mentioning or a request for early hearing, he does so in his capacity as the head of the institution, which he is entitled to do. If certain facts are placed before him and he expresses an oral view, I would not call that final or binding. What is important is today there has been an adjudication and a final view has been taken. It's open to parties to challenge it in review, but that's been taken. Today the difficulty is, and I'm not talking about this instance, let's exclude the individual in the instance. If the courts, except for perhaps rarely exceptional reasons, was to take action on petitions like this, who's going to agree to be a judge? Who's going to accept the office? And who's going to allow themselves to be put to this position? So I think the Supreme Court did the right thing, having heard both the sides concerned, at least the petitioner's side, and taken a view not to interfere. That's now final. On the other side, yes, it is important that every aspect, that is whether the intelligence institutions, the High Court Collegium, the Supreme Court Collegium, must consider every aspect. And once they take a decision, I don't think there's an issue. I mean, we're reaching a point where we are questioning the Collegium on every decision they take, and every decision does not satisfy one or the other party. Sometimes we have the government getting critical of the Collegium system. Sometimes we have the other parties, individuals and other people with a different point of view who say the Collegium is not right. I think let them do their job.
No,
by and large, they seem to get things right, and I think it's important to let the system and the judiciary function.
They're not being allowed to function, and I think Abhishek, 1 minute.
Why is John Satyan not being elevated?
Abhishek, can I just
Satyan.
Abhishek, please don't try and move to disparate cases and allow me to bring some composure into this very important debate. You see, the lobby has been trying to cast a doubt on Victoria Gowri. They should also look at others who have been in similar situations. What does the lobby, which now readily backs the freedom of expression for certain justices, selectively targets Victoria Gowri? I'll give you an example. What is the problem with Victoria Gowri's free speech? When the Supreme Court Collegium, Madhuvanti, in a resolution, backed the right to free speech of an advocate, Somashekar Soundarasan, who was recommended for Bombay High Court judgeship after the centre objected that he was, quote unquote, selectively critical, unquote, of the government on social media. There are Supreme Court Collegium judges who have criticized the government. Hasn't Saurabh Kirpal, who's recommended for the Supreme Court Collegium, expressed the need for an anti-discrimination law saying women, sexual minorities, oppressors, castes and others, people need Parliament to stand up for our right? Will you on that basis question his appointment? Wasn't it completely fine when Justice Cyril Silvam, hours after taking oath as judge, called on Karunanidhi and got his blessings reportedly? And please do not, if you, in March last year, a Delhi High Court Chief Justice, while demitting office, had said, and I quote, there is nothing wrong that you are pro-labor, pro-employer, pro-tenant, pro-landlord, pro-government, against the government, and said judges can be from any background. It's a classic case of putting pressure on the judiciary. Don't try to be bigger than the judiciary. Madhuvanti, let's broad-base the debate.
Arnab ji, the whole problem here, according to me, is not Victoria Gowri or her appointment. It's the fact that Victoria Gowri belonged to the BJP some time ago. This is clear case of you hate Narendra Modi, you hate the BJP, you have to start abusing. Then everything the Supreme Court does is wrong. But if somebody does something for or against, then the Supreme Court is perfectly right. I don't understand this trail of thought, and I do not understand from where they are coming from and from what these IB reports are, from where all these stories are coming from. The woman was a member of the BJP long ago. She has now been given a clean sheet to become an additional judge. All these lobbyists have been, their noses have been cut and they are operating. She is now taken oath as the additional judge. Okay, let's leave it there. What happened when Baharul Islam, when he was member of
Congress
Rajya
Party.
Sabha, Congress, then he resigned and then he became High Court judge and then he retired as Chief Justice.
He became judge of Guwahati High Court.
Guwahati
High Court after resigning from Rajya Sabha.
And then he retired.
Then he became Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court. He became a judge of Supreme Court. Then resigned from Supreme Court and became a member of Rajya Sabha again.
Now they don't say, and he absolved the then Chief Minister of Bihar on the cooperative bank case. Now this is okay for them. Is this okay, Mr. Abhishek? Are you okay with this? Or are you going to oppose this also today on national television?
Let me answer that. The point is not, let me answer. Ma'am, you've asked me a question. Let me answer.
Yes, I have.
It's not about the political suitability. It's not about Judge Victoria Gowri's political affiliations or the party she supports or the comment she's made. The simple fact remains, the Chief Justice of India sought it fit to conduct parallel proceedings while the judge was taking oath. This is unprecedented in India's judicial history.
Oh my God, I think now you are, I really don't know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, Siddharth. I want to go back to Mr. Luthra. This is now going from the sublime to the absolutely ridiculous. Now you're targeting the Supreme Court for actually hearing the matter and dismissing it.
I'm making a valid point.
It's not a valid point,
take me on.
Okay.
Is it a valid point?
Let Siddharth Luthra
Why did they hold
respond,
parallel
please.
proceedings?
Mr. Luthra.
I think it was in the finest tradition of the Supreme Court that a concern was raised, a petition was filed, and the court listed it and heard it on the judicial side. That is important. I don't think that's a case of questioning the functionality of the system, but to say that the system is robust, that the system is willing to see if there is an error, can we or ought we to check it. So I think it's a positive sign that the Chief Justice listed the matter and a bench of two eminent judges heard it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But the point is, should such petitions be filed and entertained? That's a separate issue. I personally feel there was no real cause
Well,
to
that is
list
also
and hear
the
the matter.
robustness, sir.
Because the moment you start, questioning, the moment you start questioning, the moment you start challenging every appointment, please tell me who is going to accept to be a judge, because the moment you'll give your consent, there'll be a petition. There is a system within the constitution that if a person
If a
proves
judge
not up
is
to the mark,
making statements-
the in-house inquiry system takes place, or a person can be impeached.
The right to
and that
judicial
system
review, sir, is
operates.
a
It's
fundamental
operated.
right.
There have been as many as 4
The right
processes.
to judicial review is a fundamental right.
I want to just end
So
with
that's
one
what I
example.
said.
One example.
That's what I said.
Everybody has the
I think
right to
Mr.
oppose the
Luthra, just 1 minute, please. And I'll end with Nilanjan. I think the question is that it's about the cancel culture. You know, we want to make the BJP into a political untouchable in this country. If you're BJP, you're bad, you're untouchable. If you're anything to do with the BJP, you're a fascist, you're a Hitler supporter, all kinds of infantile rubbish. Now, comes to mind, Nilanjan, the case of Justice.
How do you know it's rubbish?
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's rubbish. I'll elaborate. Unlike you, I always argue on the basis of fact. Yeah. Now tell me one thing. You know that Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, right? Today, if you ask Siddharth, you know, you're a well-known lawyer, who put out the most amazing, progressive, forward-looking, amazing judgments on human rights? It is Justice V.R. Krishna. Am I right, Siddharth?
Krishna Iyer.
Krishna. And tell me...
He was a minister and a member of the... yes.
Kerala Communist Party government.
He was a minister, a communist minister, and a brilliant man.
Correct.
Yes.
Brilliant man.
Minister.
Brilliant man. So you understand, Nilanjan, the point I'm trying to make. Why did you people make this glorious mistake? What did you expect to do? You think people on social media will decide what happens in this country? Nilanjan?
No,
It's about the opacity of the
You think
I have
YouTubers
something
will
to say
decide the
about-
fate of this country?
Exactly, well said.
No, the media is also not going to decide. My point is that
But
there
that's
is a
why the
question
judiciary
of
decided.
propriety. Yes, the judiciary has decided it, and I'm not making any comment on the judiciary. The question is clearly on the government agencies like the IB that has not objected to this appointment, whereas the IB has objected to similar appointments. This is the problem. The hypocrisy is writ large. So you have to understand that, or no?
I really don't understand it at all.
This BJP government wants to destroy each and every institution in this country.
There you go.
They want to destroy
There
our
you go,
federal
BJP
structure.
government. There they
want
start.
they
Where do
want
you
to
start
destroy the judicial, the machinery. Every day the law
They want to
minister makes
destroy
a
the
question.
economy. They want to destroy the army.
Of course,
They want to
have
destroy the
destroyed our
stock
economy.
market.
They have done it.
They want to
have
destroy the
successfully destroyed our
atmosphere.
economy.
They want to destroy the
Of
soil.
course.
They want to
And you
destroy
are-
the
you are-
plants.
you are
They want to
helping them.
destroy the forests.
You are
They
helping
want to
them.
destroy us all, ladies and gentlemen. From that doomsday scenario,
Absolutely.
we pull out the truth. Let there be the churn. Let the truth come out. And I promise to see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow, only for tonight. Good night and goodbye.
Amity faculty have filed over 1,700 patents. Yet another reason why Amity has been conferred with the National Intellectual Property Award by Government of India for being the top Indian academic institution for patents and commercialization.